Hey guys, welcome to the channel if you're new, welcome back if you're a subscriber. My name's Neil and it's time for the next episode of Arcane. Like I said in the last reaction, guys, this is not my typical reaction. This is not my first time watching. This is my second time through this series. I watched it a couple of months ago. I fell in love with it and I really wanted to revisit it with fresh eyes. It's a dense, rich enough story that I feel like a second viewing I would catch things I missed the first time. And I'm really excited to just share my thoughts, not necessarily about my immediate reactions, but this show really has stuck in my mind since I saw it. I fell in love with the entire aesthetic of it, with the story. This reaction may not appeal to you, but I'm hoping it does. I'm hoping that it opens the opportunity for me to rewatch some of my favorite things from a long career of watching TV and movies with you, the audience, and that's something that you guys might be interested in addition to me reacting to stuff for the first time, which I am loving doing as well. I would love to react to some of my favorite TV shows from over the years, some of my favorite movies, maybe do some, work my way through some top 5 lists, that sort of thing. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can check out my Patreon too. The link is in the description below. That's where you can find my full-length reactions. You can get early access to all of my reactions, and you can vote on future shows that you'd like to see me react to. So, with all of that in mind, guys, let's jump into episode 2 of Arcane.
You really went to the Undercity to get these? Weren't you afraid?
A little danger is worth the risk, don't you think? Hello? Is someone in there?
I love how episode 1 was all about Vi and Powder and Vander, and now we're almost flashing back right to the same start and we're learning all about Jace. What I am curious about, if you're a fan of League of Legends, is any of this stuff pre-established canon? Do we know anything about the history of Jace or Vi or Powder when you're playing the game? Or is all of this new information, new story that just sort of really fleshes things out? I'd love to hear what that experience is like for those of you who already know these characters. And who is this guy? Master of time and space. I love how that moon and the planet turn into the eye. It's a really brilliant shot. Butterfly. Oh, I didn't even notice it's got a rune on it now. Maybe it always did, but I never noticed the rune on that gem. I always wondered about that opening credit because, it finishes with that really iconic confrontation between Powder and Vi. Powder with the gun, Vi with her fist. And yet, at this point in the story, we don't know anything about that conflict to come.
Last time I checked, science didn't require illegal equipment.
Nor was this approved by the Academy.
Who are you anyway?
I'm assistant to the Dean of the Academy.
Victor.
Who it may serve you to remember is also head of the council.
There's even, design details and handcuffs on a show like this. I love it. He's a dangerous scientist, but they let him keep a couple of books in his cell.
Imprisonment. What a curious principle.
I believe I've discovered something truly incredible. A way to harness magic through science.
Magic?
Yes.
No.
No?
No.
You guys know I wouldn't take you on a job you couldn't handle, right?
Are you kidding?
What's
That was the
Milo's
best job
skill
we've ever
other
done.
than mediocre
Just
lock
don't
picking?
take powder next
Exactly. Because he doesn't have good aim. Powder, on the other hand, is a frickin' sniper. One of those great expressive moments again. Really good animation.
Hey guys, you should see this.
Love that. Well, there's the 4 kids we're looking for. Oh my. Oh, the enforcers are such a good, intimidating police force. You know, even though they're not like ridiculously competent, the look, the design is so great.
You need to hide those crystals.
Yeah, no shit.
They wished me to remind you that it's thanks to their innovations that you are the richest person in Piltover.
We need something revolutionary, Alora. Something to put Piltover on the map.
The richest person in Piltover, Mel Medarda. And let's be real,
Collapsible
like
pocket wrench.
sexy design.
It's why we supported him in the first place.
Ambition? Darling, he nearly blew up our daughter.
Jace had nothing to do with that. He was robbed.
I love that she's holding a rifle, even in the family portrait. And is there a more steampunk hat than her top hat?
We crossed that bridge once before. We all know how
Literally.
that ended.
They're just protecting you kids.
I'm protecting our people. Do I look afraid?
No. You look weak.
It's a damn good line.
Enforcer's butts was just the 4 of us.
It's a damn good line.
Even Powder wants to fight.
So why aren't we?
Echo, what do you know? And the clockwork rough. I just, like, there's so many little details that don't matter to the story one iota, and yet they add so much flavor and texture to the scene and to the world. Even, like, their voting system.
I hope we should just finish.
I was trying to create magic.
You don't understand what's at stake. But how can you?
You're not
That's a burden
307
that
years
only
old.
I here carry. I've seen this power in the wrong hands. It corrupts. It's wasted.
That figure in the bolt of light.
Cannot happen here, my boy.
I mean, it bears a passing resemblance to the figure that saved Jace and his mother.
My son isn't in his right mind, but he has a good heart. Please let him come home.
A violation of the ethos calls for banishment. I move that Jace be summarily expelled from the academy and remanded to the care of his parents. All those in favor?
It's just about as bad as far as he's concerned. Yeah. Mel's voice carries weight, especially with the guy she just bought a present for.
But he is never to set foot on academy grounds again.
That's not going to last long. The never stepping foot on academy grounds. I'm going to talk about some other visual influences. Like, there's a lot of BioShock in this, I feel. Especially this set in particular. Almost feels underwater, you know?
Don't look so concerned. I'm about to make your day.
And when we're up in Piltover, I feel like there's a lot of architecture that looks very much like the Dwemer ruins of Skyrim. You know, the abandoned dwarven cavern systems.
If I hadn't spoken, you'd be lost to me.
If my own family won't help me, I'll find someone who will.
Was that a 20-sided die in his windowsill?
No,
Bottom right.
magic is far too dangerous in the wrong
Victor's intrigued.
Beautiful.
I love that we establish all these like crazy undersea creatures, and they never amount to anything in this story. Like, that's a sign of really rich world building, and it's also tantalizing as a viewer because you know that there's so much more story to tell. Like, if they've thought about that sort of stuff, what else have they thought about?
You see, power, real power, doesn't come to those who.
Did you see a little bit of spit just come from his lips? It wasn't like he spat, but it was just like, as he said power, he just got one little fleck. I mean, that sells the realism of the scene so well. I'm so impressed with the entire look of this show. I know I say that over and over again, but it's so good.
My dad says you're a misfit.
So why are you out here?
I'm a misfit too, I suppose. What will you do?
Join the Talus Hammer business, I guess.
You can't do that.
He does, in a way.
Come inside, Caitlin. Now.
I just wanted to explain.
I think you've done enough.
I don't like how quickly Caitlin's parents turn on Jace, but...
Do whatever it takes. Turn the Undercity upside down if you have to. Just find them.
Turn the Undercity upside down. That's terrible advice.
What can I get you?
4 sump rats will do.
See, I love that that's a powder-designed warning, and it does work. Like, her stuff does work. And it's also great setup for that toy in particular. Did you see the flex in the steps? Like, how awesome is that? I know, I'm gushing about the look of the show. I'm not going to stop. I think it's the most gorgeous thing I've seen in years.
It'd be a shame if I had to put them on again. Cast irons.
He literally hung up his
It's hard to
gloves.
clean.
Suck it up, Powder. You can do it. I got sweaty palms just watching it.
You people down here are all the same. Mistaking arrogance for bravery. And I'm gonna bury the lot of you.
Talking about arrogance.
What I don't understand is how you can work with them. We were here, we saw what they did. I grew up knowing I'm less than them. I want Powder to have more than that, and I'm willing to fight for it.
So was I.
Haley Steinfeld, guys. That's awesome voice acting.
Nobody wins in war, Vi.
What are we gonna do?
Oh yeah, I forgot, like, Jace is ready to end it all. He's left a note. He's taken off his crystal wristband. He's got nothing to live for. And Victor comes in, right?
Am I interrupting?
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about your work, this Hextech theory of yours.
It's not a theory. I saw with my own eyes what magic can do.
I want to look in this book more. It feels like this world's version of the Indiana Jones Grail diary, you know? It doesn't just have, like, scrawled fake writing. It's got proper diagrams and notes in there in a foreign written language.
When you're going to change the world, don't ask for permission.
Ask for forgiveness.
Look, I made them for the enforcers. These are smoke bombs, and those 2 are full of nails.
She's a little psycho.
They're gonna work this time. I know it.
She's making nail bombs.
Me too.
And she's got a fascination with crystals, too.
You know, Powder, what makes you different makes you strong. Always remember that, okay?
She finally got the toy down. I always felt like we should have seen that.
Maybe it's not too late.
Musical interlude. The lighting is just gorgeous. The dust motes in the air. Yeah. He realizes that Vi got it down and gave it away. He knows what she's doing. She's giving herself up. I love how much we know about this world already in just 2 episodes. It's so well written. The characters are so memorable. There's nothing generic about anybody. Every character we've met has their own personality, their own distinct look, their own motives. And it's just so well integrated. And you can just feel this world's been built and pressure is bubbling under the surface, and you just know it's going to erupt. You know, there's this tenuous peace that Grayson and Vander have managed to maintain for the last number of years. But all it takes is a lieutenant like Marcus to overstep that peace, someone like Silco to undermine it, and it'll all fall apart. And ultimately, you know, Marcus is just a tool for Silco. You can see that Silco's manipulating him, and Silco's really the engine behind the coming eruption of change. But what I love most about this whole story is Vi and Powder, like that awkward sisterhood, that what feels like an unbreakable bond between the two of them, despite their age difference, despite Powder being sort of the black sheep of the group. You know, they've got something really special there, and that comes clear right from the beginning. You know, right from that moment in the first episode early on, where Vi's cheering Powder on, psyching her up so that she can make the jump across the street up in Piltover. But now, you know, Vi sort of reached that stage where she's willing to sacrifice herself for, not just for her sister, not just for her family and friends, but for the entire Undercity, by giving herself up so that the enforcers stop coming and stop ruining everything. I remember the first time I watched this, it felt like such a painful cliffhanger, you know, where just as we hear that door open. But I am really glad I'm watching this a second time, because there are certainly little nuanced beats in the story that you might miss the first time, and it's so nice to be able to catch those a second time. It just sort of adds so much more to the story. I think the first time you're on the verge of being overwhelmed just by how much there is. Not just in the way of characters and plot, but there's so much visually and auditory to take in that you may miss the little subtle stuff. And there is a lot of subtle stuff in here, stuff that isn't like handed to us on a platter. You know, this is not an animated show that talks down to its audience, that treats the audience like kids. It's intelligent, and it's, like I said, it's subtle, and there are certainly non-subtle moments, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of stuff in here that isn't spelled out in dialogue and focused on in the shot, and yet is still important. So I like that. I find that really, it's respectful. It like a show like this really respects its audience and knows that its audience is smart enough to figure out what's going on and to put even more in there that isn't necessary for a good viewing, but if you catch it, makes your viewing even better. And that's really good storytelling. That's really good design. That's really good production value. Yeah, like I said, this show, I mean, just hit me the first time I watched it. I haven't seen anything like this before. I don't think I've, I'm a huge Pixar fan, for instance. I love Pixar's stories. They do great animation, but I think this looks better than anything Pixar has ever done. Pixar does very good animation, but generally what I come away from watching most Pixar shows is the animation serves the story, but it doesn't necessarily elevate the story. The strength of Pixar is in its stories. They have incredibly well written stories, and the animation serves that. Whereas this, I can't decide what's better between the story and the animation. The animation itself, the look of the show, is so front and center. It's so visceral and engaging that it really is unlike anything I've ever seen before, and that's why I had to come back to it and share the experience with you. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well about the look. Like I said, I don't have any expertise in animation. I've never worked on an animated show. There is no need for somebody doing my job in animation. But if you know anything about it, I would love to know how this was created. Like, I understand that there was no motion capture, but I can't tell whether this is a 3D animated show or an incredibly well done 2D animated show, or whether there's some hybrid technique that I'm completely unaware of. All I know is I am blown away by how it looks, and the story is up to snuff. So yeah, if you can share any information that you've gleaned about the show, I'd love to hear it. And until next time, everybody, take care, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.